event was served for them on a silver platter. FaZe knocked out, Furia knocked out. Now the Furia aren't even here. BDS need to recover to make it as far as they can to really reclaim the moniker we put on them. We thought they were the best team in the world in May. They technically were not. And now we need to try to see them make their mark here to get started into Border. The op bans will see. What a big shock. Banning a shield against a team who's got a guy that plays every single one of them.
And W7M is going to ban Deimos. Guaranteed. Wait, let's see.
2, 1.
Hey! There we go. And that has to be because over the last 3 months, Shaiko has played that character 31 times, folks. The next second one is Nomad at 18. And I mean, hey, you got to put respect where it's due, and everybody's going to respect Shaiko, or rather Shaiko, at the end of the day. Too much League recently for me. Anyways, Shaiko at the end of the day, and yeah, you just do not want him having that operator. Too much influence with Deimos at his disposal. Azami and Mira are going to wrap things up here, so Valkyrie will make it through, unlike our last game.
Yeah, and to highlight Shaiko a bit, not only the operator he plays, but the presence he has in the game. Deimos is banned so frequently against BDS, because as you said, he plays it so much, but when Deimos is actually on the board, their 46% attacking win rate jumps up to 58.5%.
Jeez.
A whole 10% increase when Deimos is actually on the board. But Shaiko in particular, of course, when that operator's present, BDS's chances are a lot higher. But if you want to look at that Manchester final, that was a game won on the margins. And one of the big things was Shaiko's underperformance in that game, the bottom rated in that final. Of course, taking away the Deimos is one thing, but with how much this team relies on Shaiko, how much this org has relied on Shaiko for years now, to have him not show up in big moments like Manchester can turn a very close BO5 against them in a moment when it mattered most. So we'll look to him to this event alongside this core that has really, this roster that has impressed us over the past few months since they formed just after SI24 to see what they can do on Border. The first round will be an Armory and Archives defense. We'll have a very aggressive CC hold with a shield actually looking over towards the office wall.
That's what you'd expect. Every team's got a little different spice when it comes to holding the top floor, but at the end of the day, it all comes back to bear on the fact that you not only have to hold the side, but you have to extend out towards security. Sometimes you can have some fun little plays going on in office as well. We'll have to see what BDS wants to do exactly with the remainder of this setup. But as of right now, EFAC is going to be the first one, and he takes out Loben. What a nice way to start things off for BDS.
The MVP from that grand final for BDS in Manchester, despite the loss. The kind of player there, when you see Yuzu, Shaiko, and Solitov on the roster, you expect the big performances from them, especially those first two. But LickyFac, when he gets going, man, is he hard to stop. And it feels like he's always the player that when the team is struggling, he knows when to put in the work, when to unlock that level of performance to make it as competitive as possible. So keep an eye on him as well. Solitov playing that long angle in CCTV that we see so many teams hold now. Yuzu's taking the break position, trying to contest every point of entry. W7M's solution will be that Selma charge to put Yuzus in a bit of a tricky spot, so rotate deeper into break and closer to CC. Volp's taken down by a C4, a player that BDS will need to shut down given the prowess he's shown inside of Brazil this stage. But now with this 5v3 with over half the round to go, Dotas will make the right move. Him and Dots hopping in, looking to up the pressure, speed up the pace, and take control of Fountain as BDS are rotating, but Shaiko is ready for it. Might be a good trade, but it's an even better round for BDS. Dash still stuck outside the building with not a single chance of making it out of this one.
Yeah, this star-studded lineup is gleaming in round one right now, Carter. There's no way that W7M gets back into this. 4-1, and this is exactly how you want your Border defenses to go. From the very start, they're at the neck of W7M. They're getting these kills. They're consistently discovering where W7M are trying to enter the building from, and they are immediately thwarting it. They're not allowing them any space to work with at all. And that's a gift of having such a talented roster across the board. You can have some more of these aggressive tendencies, and you can rest on the backbone of these players like Bride in order to pull you across the line. They didn't even need that in that regard. They just needed to kill their opponent. That's exactly what they did. Very well done to BDS, especially with that starter downstairs, catching Loben completely off guard outside the main double.
Just a complete shutout in round one from BDS on the primary bomb site on Border. I think you said, I don't know exactly what your phrasing was, but essentially it was a complete team performance overall, except for maybe one guy not getting a kill. Everybody getting a piece of the action in round one. It's a good thing to see if you are a BDS fan.
Look at that trade, man.
Just a complete highlight reel. A good showing of team play, everything to start out. Their defenses are the strong point for this team. It's basically consistent over the course of the whole year. Maybe a little bump here or there, up or down, but this has been their better side since this roster formed all the way back after SI. So to see them continue to put up rounds here, it's, you know, unfortunately, to be expected when you're the team at the top and you are just this good, but it's still something we want to see. Next bomb site will be Ventilation and Workshop. And LickyFac bringing in the Solus. Want to highlight this because, Sam, ever since she got nerfed to hell a few months back, or more than a few months back now, a lot of teams have just completely moved away from her. Not this guy. This guy loves his Solus.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of different ways that you can end up implementing this character. Obviously, the biggest thing that was a drawback for a long time, at least if you look at it from the offensive perspective, was the fact that she had so much oversight when it came to prep phase, being able to basically completely thwart your game plans when it comes to droning the building and finding a bomb site, which for anybody that's played Siege ever
somewhat
knows
important.
That's a little important. So Ubisoft decided to take that away from her and also has lessened her capabilities with her ability overall anyways. So it's really down to the shotgun, SMG, and the fact that inside of the main round, you can deal with some of this info game. And actually, W7M already starting to have some issues, let alone the drone game, but Dash is now dead to Shaiko as well. And look at this drone here from Loban. He's going to discover a player inside of Workshop, but can they even get close to the site, Carter?
Maybe they can get close. Oh, indeed you can. Bride down through the wall. They've taken very early control of Customs. Dota is also looking to take down Solotov. Shaiko flashbanged inside of Tellers. The doe could be called too. Volp's hopping out after triggering that goo mine. Shaiko's always a threat that you have to deal with, and they'll try to pinch him in this position. Tries to swing ahead of the flash, but there's nothing he can do. Able to get that first pick, ratting on East, but W7M immediately just stormed forward. Did not let that setback stall them out. LickyFac holding the site. Smoke grenade goes down, and Dots plants inside. Obscured by the cover of that secondary utility. He will move us into the post. With Volp's covering, there's not a whole lot any player can do. And Yuzu's hopping down into a triple crossfire is just as hopeless. Tie game early, just as Dark Zero Falcons was on Border. We'll have to wait to see who starts running away with it a bit later.
And what would you know, Carter? Border, once again, for the second time today, decided by the opener. I am so very shocked.
It's a classic.
Oh, yes. W7M with some nice frags there. And although Shaiko does have that nice little kill over on East, it's all for naught at the end of the day as W7M respond in kind and then take it even further. They get that nice little pressure in towards the castle. There's no reinforcements over on the far workshop side and end up getting that nice little K. So that will end up going as an unconverted round for BDS for the opener, but something that W7M will be very happy with the results of. But now, this is where the rubber truly hits the road. We've seen 2 rounds, both of these teams finding their stride in a certain capacity. Now let's see where these audibles come in. What are going to be the adjustments here for round 3? Well, for BDS, they're going to go away from the site that we just saw in Ventilation Workshop, and instead we're going to head over to Teller's Bathroom. Now, this site is a little interesting. It really banks on the fact of how comfortable you are on that top floor. Can you keep control of Office for a long enough period of time to make things difficult for the offense?
Well, BDS weren't exactly capable of doing it last time. Complete chaos thrown into their ranks by the oncoming W7M attackers. And as you said, BDS might have 2 opening picks in a row, but the early round will decide the game on Border. And while W7M dropped 1, they immediately got 3 right in exchange. So whoever is coming away in a better position in the early game could very well be the favored one right here, whether that kill happens by the site or across the map. So he was able to set themselves up in a better position. Shaiko looking to get aggressive on East. Saw Pama playing this exact position earlier. Shaiko having a little bit more success at the moment. Soma charges going out, knows that the pressure is likely coming in from East.
It's all going to be Shaiko here. Shaiko and use this as they hold down top East. You do have a player over inside of CCTV. That's going to be Solotov to try and hold down the long angle there for 90. But all of W7M, they're looking for this square space, Carter. They want to hold on to top square, hold on to bottom square, and work their way in through this soft panel that we see Monty working now.
And one just around the corner. Dota is able to open up with that kill onto Uses. Oh, but the C4 cut short. Just a fraction of that wall, halting the Valkyrie secondary utility. But Bride, one of one of the best anchors in the world, making that fact painfully apparent to W7M.
Oh!
Dot's trying to play happy feet on the reinforcement. Dokkaebi trying to get the hell out of dodge. Dash will look in and try to stop the bleeding. Get a freebie on the floor, but BDS, the moment W7M knock on that door, they blow the door off the hinges.
And this is what I've been talking about with BDS, man. You have so many talented players on this roster that although maybe, you know, Bride isn't exactly showing up in his EPS or showing up in his KD spread, when his number is called, he is so unbelievably talented, Carter. He's the only person that can throw a spanner in the works for W7M. That plant is going off without a hitch if he is not there to be that stick in the spokes. And what's he do? He gets a huge 2K, he delays things out, he makes things messy. Monty's life is terrible, and he finally gets gunned down from Lickyfact. There's nothing that he can really do. That's why he's got to slide the shield and go for the gunfight. So very well done from BDS to meet W7M in the trenches and get the job done.
And because they had found the exact bit of control they needed, right? Courtyard basically free, the wall soft to actually get into the site. If they wanted to reset a little longer, maybe you need to pay a bit more attention towards Passport, but there's a very real chance, as you said, that they get that diffuser down based off that quick pace. Maybe not even enough time for Lickyfact to hit that flank from behind, but Bride not only buys that time, but gets 2 kills, which frankly might not even needed to have done. As long as you just waste that time, you're able to stall out W7M, who made a very good call and found a nice little gap. And in the end, it didn't matter because of the anchor's efforts.
And that's the crappy thing about BDS, guys. You're going to be hearing me say this a lot this event whenever we're on a BDS game. The craziest thing is you can circumvent their entire, you know, front line. You get to that back line, you still have to deal with a demon. He's just been resting the whole time waiting for you.
Sitting there recharging. That's when he's most powerful. Solotov playing inside of CCTV, looking to take the fight outside of Armory. Might have just spotted the shield there.
Everybody's loving this dog strategy over here on CC.
Yeah, everyone's loving to take these long angle fights.
Ooh, we got a sense in the mix too.
I was about to say, we got 2 shields right now. No blitz, obviously. Banned out by BDS. But the Monty, the Fuse, and the Sens all coming forward, smoking the head holes, now looking to pressure the dog off the back of that angle being blocked. Will push him deeper into 90, and the Legion will help be his bridge back towards the site. But the Fuse pushes the other side, tags up one player just a little bit. But that's not the man with the diffuser. He has just made the space, holding out, holding
Dash.
the angle, Dash holding the line. The heads of Bride and Solotov clatter to the floor, and W7M have stormed into the site. Shaiko will fight back onto 1, but his effort needs to be lethal. And that's the name of his game. Monty puts the diffuser down anyway. Both defenders on very low HP, 1 away from death, and Shaiko in the grave. Just 1 DMR shot, 1 pistol shot to be the end of Lickyfact, but Dodez will get it done with that primary. Nobody able to keep a lead for long, and W7M showing that this is not going to be like EWC.
No, definitely not. And that's the thing. W7M, when it came to versing BDS out in the desert, it was a lot of a different story, Carter. The biggest thing there was that W7M, they had never felt lights like that before. They'd never felt that pressure. You're in a grand final up against a French powerhouse, one of the best teams that Rainbow Six has ever seen, especially with this lineup that they have right now. And to try and go toe-to-toe with that, especially when you've never seen a grand final before,
you're going to shake a bit.
It's an insurmountable task. It really is. If they would have ended up making that series a game at the end of the day at all, I'd have been like, oh, this is more than successful. This is huge for them. But the expected result is what we got. But now W7M, they've been able to reflect on that. They've had an entire stage to play through all that, all the preparation they've put in. And the big thing that they've had marked on their calendar for the remainder of the year is, when are we getting this rematch against BDS? We want it so unbelievably bad. I've had multiple conversations with these guys, not only making content for EWC, but also just past that, especially with Loban. And every time that we talk about Siege, he always talks to me about BDS. He always talks to me about the fact that he wants to be one of those players that has gotten to Shaiko and has been capable of shutting down this squad. And right now, at least, they're going toe-to-toe.
So one thing BDS will have to worry about this event, I look at what happened to them at Manchester, and I think about FaZe last year. Considered to be one of the best teams in the world, on par with Fury, and statistically better than them. But what happened? Copenhagen, lose to the Dark Horse. Atlanta, lose to the Dark Horse. SI, get to the Grand Finals, lose to the Dark Horse, which just happened to be Furia. They never got that date with what ended up being the best team in the world, one of the greatest teams of all time. And FaZe faded a little bit, not into obscurity, but lacked a lot of the luster that teams had. And with BDS facing a similar fate, should have won that final, should have made it further. If you start losing to Dark Horses like this, you will start going the way of the Dodo. Loban will certainly put Solotov into extinction. CCTV, that long angle from spawn. will take down an important operator holding out the top floor.
He takes out one of the 3 horsemen for BDS. Solotov, Shaiko, and Uzis. Those are the 3 we usually see at the top of the heap doing the most for this squad. Not to say that the others don't, it's just that BDS usually use those 3 on more of a forward portion of the chessboard. And as of right now, they're going to end up losing one of those bodies, but it doesn't mean that BDS can't fight back.
Oh, they absolutely can. Shaiko and Bride holding out Fountain. Flashbangs going out like a rhythm, beat for beat, trying to blind the defenders inside. Dots will find one. BDS trying to just claw back something, but the guns are coming alive. Shaiko, the only one really throughout these 4 or 5 rounds able to mount any sort of comeback. But Lobin's hitting his stride. 75% of his kills just happened right there. Let's see if Yuzus can get his first, his second, and his third. That's not a great start. Good thing you can pick it back up. Sending down inside of blue. He's got intel on one. We'll throw it out. Might just be able to land on the opposite side of the wall. Both Dodez and Dash are on low HP. The MPX might be a P shooter, but even Dash will go down quick. Drops right in front of him, but gets cover.
Man.
Takes shelter behind the beepers, so Users will push further. There's nobody covering him. They drop on opposite sides, but Dodez reacts in time. Bit of a late setup, and Users' patience does not pay off. W7M take the lead the first time on border.
Carter, you see Shaiko get a disjointed 1v1 like that, and even though it's only about 5 seconds, it just makes you worry, doesn't it? You never know what he's going to be able to accomplish in a moment like that, but fortunately enough for W7M, they bring everybody to bear inside of customs, and they find that last frag. But look at that, man. W7M, they get a lot of traction there, especially with what Lobin was able to accomplish, but BDS, they still bring it down to a 1 versus 2 in a moment that they most definitely could have captured, especially if they had that info on that remaining player, but instead, Uzis will end up going down to Dodez instead. Very well done to W7M as they will take the lead for the very first time here inside of this best of 1.
3 opening picks in a row for W7M. You're almost curious, might this be a 4-1 if they're able to convert that advantage a little better? Well, of course, obviously, that's just math. But on that bathroom teller's site, as we go back to it for the final site of BDS's defensive half, what exactly happened? Well, W7M rushed into courtyard, opened that soft wall, and immediately trying to put the diffuser down, and it was Bride holding out onto the site that weathered the storm, allowed LickyFact to get in the position to close out that round for BDS. But W7M reacted quickly on the information they saw and immediately filled the space. The fact that decisiveness from them is still not only a pervading threat, but a consistent one in the rounds we've seen them win. Bride might have won you that round, but W7M might not fall for it again.
Yeah, I think you provided a great point as well on the fact that W7M were pretty one-dimensional in the way that they were going for that. It was aggressive, and honestly, the tactic wasn't that poor at the end of the day. If they end up killing Bride, that's more than likely a plant down and a round for them.
But maybe a little too quick.
Yeah, maybe a little too quick, and they really didn't have another layer to that. You didn't have a player working its way in from Passport. You didn't have somebody maybe go through jail and try and come in through customs, or even the main door and work your way across Server's Workshop. There was really nothing else going on for W7M, and once BDS were able to put an obstacle in their way that was successful, W7M fell to pieces. So we're looking to see if they can continue to apply multiple angles here like we've seen them through these last 2 rounds as it came down to round 6, and it's quite important.
Very important, especially now that Dots has taken down Yuzu.
Oh, wow.
It might not even matter. They're winning every single fight. Solotov, stuck on an island in CCTV, will try to swim to better shores, swim to his team. Dodez doesn't even do anything. He knows CCTV's been given up. They've got a 5v3. They've got 5 drones remaining. They've got a Dokkaebi call recharging. They've got like 8 billion zero cams, basically, after that new patch.
6 of them.
You can just do so much with this intel that W7M have.
Yep, absolutely. And it's scary, man. It really is. You still got that dope call. All the EE1Ds are out, sure, but just look at this info matrix right now, Carter. This is absolutely absurd, the amount of info you can get now with Sam Fisher.
Puts Valkyrie to shame.
Yeah, dude, this is crazy. And, I mean, dude, Foxy's got to be kicking himself right now because he absolutely loved this for OXG.
He's sitting there like, I got out the game too early. Solotov probably saying the same thing to himself after Dots finds that angle. 2 C4 kills in a row. But that didn't win the round for BDS last time. Need a lot more effort in what will now be a 2v5, 2v4 with that kill onto Dodez.
Who else do you want in this situation, though? Shaiko, Bride, 2 versus 4. It might seem insurmountable, but they'll open it up right here.
And put the case down inside of office. Also know somebody moving down east. Who is the time going to favor in this situation? Is it going to be W7M resetting? Could be Volps going for this backstab. You can see the defenders looking the other way. Dash now moving in. The flashbang's covering. He is on the soft wall, so he's got to be careful about that. BDS knows to check Vens, but Volps just better in this engagement. Highest rated for W7M for a reason. He's the closer in rounds like that, and there's too much for Shaiko to worry about. W7M starting to run away with it. 4-2 at the half, putting BDS in a very tricky spot.
And what a half we had there, Carter. From the very start, BDS are providing what you would expect out of Border, holding some more map control as you would expect once again. But, you know, the aggressive swings working out initially, a lot of big kills, a lot of issues for W7M where they just could not respond in kind. But this is quickly dealt with. W7M are more than capable of not only discovering what the setup is for BDS, but capitalizing on it, finding these ISO'd players, getting these big picks, getting this sweeping map control that is making life difficult for BDS, and they're never really able to recover. Yeah, we have quite a few kills. Shaiko has 8 kills in one half, but does it really matter at the end of the day when W7M are more than capable of dealing with that front line and then just bowling over your site setup? It looked very good for W7M past the adjustments.
And I'm thinking two things right now as you move into this side swap. One is Dash was by far and away the lowest rated player. He had about a 90 EPS in stage 1. It's dropped almost 10 as we're moving into Montreal this stage. But to see him 4-3, basically alongside the entire rest of the team, it's a huge reason for why W7M are looking so dominant in the rounds they're winning. But the big concern I have now is in EUL. Their defenses have been consistent over the whole year, but remember, that attack has dropped 10% from last stage. Without that Deimos, it is a lot lower. And now that BDS have gone down 2-4 on their better side, how competent will W7M be on these defenses, but what changes will we see in BDS's attacking side? They get the entry so often, one of the best in Europe. But if they start failing to convert them, W7M might find 5-2, 6-2 quicker than they'll expect.
Yep. 62.6% on entry over the last couple of months for Team BDS, but a 46.51 percentage when it comes to their offensive win rate. And that's the thing we'll be focused on right now. W7M, I mean, we've known that this team has been about it when it comes to their aggressive tendencies and their capability to play into a map like Border for quite some time. And I mean, this might be a huge moment for them, especially for this iteration of W7M, if they're capable of starting off on the right foot here in round 7.
Good find for Solotov to get those goo mines. Shockingly, BDS going on the Monty. Less than 10 plays on this op inside of the EUL. BDS are not really a shield team. We'll see if this ends up being part of a greater trend, but this is a bit of a different position. As the smoke grenades go out, they're looking to pinch this dock. Looking to take down Dotas in this position, but Shaiko and Lickyfat completely around and take out his support. He's completely ISO'd off. The Legion will try to help out, try to bring things back. Oh, BDS, gotta be careful a little bit. Dotas might have to as well, have to start getting aggressive. Good pre-fire onto Shaiko, but the shield is so difficult. There's so little you can do. Castle tries to swing out to make something happen, but nothing will. He'll come up short. Lion has moved inside of the site. Could get this kill on the users right here. Stops pre-firing. Will land it onto the floor as, oh my god, 180, but there's just too many players. Enough for buffer, enough redundancy to give that round for BDS, despite the Castle's best efforts.
Hey, and that's what the addition of a Monty will do. I mean, I'm sitting here staring at the top 3 ops for every single one of these BDS players, and Monty doesn't even crack the bottom third. So that's how little they play shields on this team, Carter. But here's the thing. When it comes to Border, it's a necessary thing. You really need somebody like Monty that can just be that consistent character, constantly pressuring your opponent, and not something that they can exactly deal with forthright in that moment. You have to try and play things out. Monty's more than likely going to have to make an error or step into a trap, and it works out beautifully for BDS. And also to the person in my rank game the other day that said, just smack the shield, Carter. I mean, that'll surely help. Did it? Did it really?
It unfortunately did not. And the shields help, particularly something that I talked about for Border for a while, and especially clearing that CCTV position, which is, think about the different doorways you have to walk through, right? You try to walk into break, you're exposing yourself from the left, the right, and the front.
Yes.
Very difficult. You want to try to go through the CC door, you're exposing yourself to the person in CC, but also the armory head holes that teams always make. So if you're trying to take a fight with this guy in there, you can see why it's so difficult, but you can see why his shield, especially the Monty, is so effective. Now, especially if you're full shielded, or even if you're hopping in that window, you can look at a lot of those angles and not take any of that damage and then sprint, get in the position to take the fight with the player actually on that door. But BDS will move away from it. They'll move back to the OSA as W7M try Armory Archives again. And anytime we see this operator, we know where those Talon shields are aimed to go.
I wonder. And a good moment here for BDS as well is there is no Warden in the mix. No extra nitro cells either. You just have smoke to try and slow this down. Past that, it's going to be W7M trying to apply some you know, fodder to this area and hope that potentially they're able to strike somebody out truly. 45 seconds already into this round, and here we go.
Oh my god, Bride just swings in, pre-fires Dots, who was hoping to maybe rat on the opposite side of the castle barricade, fight the guy on vent window, and you'll regret that. All the Bs have basically gone out, save for one from Yuzus, make that none. Remaining in the back pocket of the Grim. Bride moving in, putting that down, but with no explosives, no nothing. The smoke canister is not even landing after that. They went a bit too high, and not a lick of damage done to Bride, and Shaiko just hops in. Does he even need to hit that gap? Probably not, but it's insult to injury for W7M in an execute that is completely going right. Loban looking to pre-fire outside of the ventilation window, but everyone from BDS is playing passive. There's no reason to take these fights, no reason to get aggressive. They've tied the game in what feels like 2.5 minutes.
They have zero capability in that moment to respond with anything, Carter. They just don't have the toolkit. You don't even have impacts to try and break up an OSA shield. You have nothing to try and stop that, and let alone that fact. Did you hear the amount of EMPs going off in that area? They dumped all 3 Thatcher EMPs in a row. Boom, boom, boom. Just to make sure that when those smokes pour in out of our smoke, they can't do anything. Yeah. They're an electronic. So they just rest dead in the water as this plant goes off, and then past that you have Shaiko hitting that crazy gap here with a nice kill through beepers and then cleaning up the rest of the party. It's 4-4 in this game in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, good luck using any C4s, any Specchio scanners, anything really to actually try to...
Your only bet is probably the impact or having Warden hopefully see through and tag somebody. That's about it.
It's a very good strategy for BDS, and in no time at all, they have tied this game against W7M. It looked like they were getting the momentum, running away with it. No tactical time even necessary. We just have BDS moving forth and winning now 2 Armory Archives attacks in a row. It'll force a rotation out from W7M, move down to Ventilation and Workshop, where still, you will likely have to defend Armory Archives at least a little bit, maybe even CCTV as well. Look at that, late adjustment. Don't often see that late reinforcement. They put the head holes in the wall, then reinforce it anyway. Maybe just to try to force some expectations for BDS to change, some changes in the setup, but they had a drone on it the whole time, and even though it's too late to change, they will at least know what they're getting into.
An oldie but a goodie. Those electro claws, folks, for those that don't know, they go through floors for that radius. So what he did there is he ended up charging up. I do believe the box wall upstairs also could be the CCTV wall that goes out towards that same side. I haven't thrown that one in quite some time, so that's really on me. But either way, one of those walls upstairs is fully electrified, making things a little bit more difficult. And let alone that fact, those with a keen eye already saw the Tubarão, I'm sure, and he's going to be freezing that wall, I would more than likely bet. A little bit of a gambling moment there for me, but hey, either way, gonna end up stealing out that camera and also finding a mark on Loban. BDS a little bit more slow rolling this time.
Got a BP in sight as well. Also that other clutch drone early, but at least having some decent impact on the utility inside of Vent there specifically. A lot of pressure around this jail position, looking to try and isolate this Cade, but ooh, Licky Fact maybe getting a little too aggressive, thinks he finds a gap. There's somebody playing close in that door. The efforts of BDS at least still find their target. They down the Cade, can't finish him off just yet. They will be able to make this a 4v4, assuming they can get into a position to finish off that kill. Remember, Volps is holding the cross, or was playing aggressively on that door. He's actually fallen back now, so Dash can't be taken down. No worry whatsoever. Ooh, look at this. Yuzus playing it slow. 2 players around Fountain and Armory right now. But Yuzus is by himself. C4 goes out. Ooh. I'd be sweating bullets if I were Yuzus right now. And I think he backs off as a result.
A little scary there, let alone that fact. But Dodes also has that fantastic weapon here as well. He's able to tag him just on the cross here, already half HP for him, and an easier gunfight for the man inside of Fountain, let alone the fact that he could just outright kill him. A 4v4 goes down to 1 minute. We all know what that means when it comes to Border. Things are about to get really, really scary. Doesn't matter which team you're thinking of. as we have this player still positioned inside of Customs. BDS with very little time to work with.
That's the first prong down. That's the lurker dead too. Loban about to flank Shaiko. Spidey sense tingling, ready for it. Make this the 2v3. Oh, but he pre-fires the desk. Loban just better in that moment. A very brief one. 3-day sprints into the site and into W7M's waiting arms. First round for them on the defense. That early round, doing quite a lot for their chances.
Yes, most definitely. BDS tried to go for another very aggressive play, working their way in towards the custom space. They think things, for the most part, are pretty free, but their biggest misstep there is definitely going to be the fact that Volps was lying in wait over there in the server. He gets that nice pickup on Uses, working his way in through the double, and then past that, really the only big issue that W7M have to deal with is the fact that they end up losing a player over inside of that customs area. But that also lets them know where this play is coming in from BDS. So for BDS, they have to try and propel themselves forward. They have to go and try and find these picks, but for W7M, they do a bang-up job of delaying and denying that moment from BDS. There's never really a time where they're able to find another ISO pick. They can't find more map control that makes them feel comfortable in pushing themselves forward and getting that plant down. W7M just forced BWS down, or BDS, rather BWS, BDS down to a moment where they're a little discombobulated and don't really have the moment to bring that coordination back to get that big timing and find their gap.
Now very, very thin margin for W7M, but still able to take that lead nonetheless. Stop BDS from continuing with that momentum, taking the lead, at least potentially depending on the results of this round. Back to Teller's bathroom, or I suppose first time for W7M, but back to it for us. Yokais could be important for the fate of this round, especially as the BDS, not necessarily the most plants in the world, but it is one of their win conditions that they are fine going for. Clutch Drone finding more intel inside the site. Will spot even one Yokai. What a pickup for BDS right there. Not only to use it as a drone, but just one way to stop this plant now gone. BDS, that is going to be massive. Look at this inside of the site. And W7M are going to be aware of it, but are they going to be able to deal with it? Oh my God. And you know what? I think they know it's clear too.
Uses got that pickup as well. Things just going so very wrong. BDS are hitting their marks on just everything you could ever really want when it comes down to it. They get all that utility broken up. They get a nice kill onto Dots and the dope call in here. BDS more than likely a moment away from trying to get a few more frags.
And you could see W7M realizing the fact that they're playing this retake strategy. The Echo knows he's lost a Yokai, knows where it was too. They know that BDS have full awareness of how empty the side is right now. It's not completely for free. W7M are in a position for a retake, especially as Dash moving down to courtyard. You still have to be careful. You can't just let them take it for free. W7M starting to show focus, but BDS surprisingly composed. Just going back with his utility clear. He's looking to destroy even more of this utility. The smoke losing a lot of HP to, that's a player playing around blue right now. Another Yokai stun, trying to set up Solitaw for this kill. Final Dokkaebi call goes out, but Loban with a big pick. Finding Leaky Fact, moving around that top floor. Bride just trying to find an angle with this diffuse case. Angles from up above. BDS, it is just back and forth, stop and start for the action at the moment. Dash still holding on. Now consolidating with Loban on this top floor.
Still have Dodez as well over inside of Break, and that's really what I'm going to be paying attention to here. Can he get this rotation over towards Square? A comfortable spot to put this plant down.
Oh, he's ready for it. Yuzu's so good on the flank watch, making sure that courtyard player doesn't have any impact. Shaiko with another one. Dodez gets that trade, but because of the star player's best efforts, his 13th kill puts him in such a bad spot. Bride ready for to break that glass. Case of emergency, BDS. Play it slow. Go for the utility clear. But that Yokai early on, man.
Yeah.
You feel so confident even when you start dropping bodies.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just being capable of breaking up an operator such as Echo, where, you know, even if he's able to keep one around, that more than likely staves off that moment where they're able to get the plant down and make things really weird for them at the end of the day. And W7M had enough going on where there was some potential that inside of that calamity, they end up coming out on top of the heap. But instead, what happens is a cool, calm, and collected round from BDS off the back of some solid utility usage, and then, of course, some gunplay.
5-5 now in the first rematch between BDS and W7M since that finals at EWC. Remember, they only won 6 rounds against BDS in an entire best-of-5 in 3 maps. Not only has this been far more competitive than that, but hey, they're approaching that scoreline too.
Yeah, they are.
Got to give them credit for that.
If this comes down to a 6-6 scoreline and we go to OT, Carter is basically just a prophet. I don't know what else to say.
I'm sorry. Okay, just to break it real quick. If W7M gets 6 rounds or go to OT and they lose 8-6, that would be pretty funny.
Yes.
That'd be very sad and pretty funny.
I will give you that. I definitely will. I don't think W7M would like it all that much.
No,
I don't want it to go down that way either, but yeah, it would definitely have some humor to it for sure.
Well, after they take their tactical timeout,
Dash?
Let's take the bets. Are they hiding the clash?
Oh,
yeah, they are.
We always hide the clash nowadays.
You got to.
You have to. You have to. A lot of the traditional counters for Clash aren't something that you traditionally use for offense in the current meta. Although we do see a decent amount of Capitao. Everybody else, not so much.
BDS also dropped the guy who would play Cali at the weirdest times quite a while back now. If the Lems were here, no problem. But yes, other than that, generally speaking, even then, yeah, the counters for Clash are the main ones. Not really brought in a lineup all that much. Plus, if you, Capitao might be a great counter, but you want to use both your Firebolts in that Clash? Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe you would like it later. No Capitao here, of course. Shaiko been sticking this Brava pretty consistently on the attacking side ever since round 9. And the Monty back into play as we do go back to Armory and Archives. Dropped it for that Osa plant in round 8. Now bring you back in round 11. How will it work for the CCTV position? Well, they're focusing on East right now, so not at all for the moment. Look at all this utility it is draining. The second toxic canister being used early on. Ooh, Selma broken as well. But BDS entirely focusing on East.
And this is the entire strategy for W7M. It's all about delay. They want to soak up as much of this clock as possible. That's why you see these smokes being burnt early. That's why you see all these trap operators and Clash in tow. They want to keep BDS at bay and then get some kills, but that's the problem, Carter. Solotov hits his mark. Dotes most definitely does not. And now Lobin has to try and don the mantle.
He's droned out, retaking this position. Solotov might think, oh, maybe somebody else wants to try their luck. He's put to 1 HP basically in that spot. I think Lobin might be regretting pushing this aggressively again. He could waste time. Holmes takes the fight. They have been trying to catch BDS off guard on this balcony, and the attack is completely aware of it. Shaiko, Yuzu, Solotov, everybody ready for W7M to get antsy, to get nervous. Liquifact pushes up metal stairs just to take this ground as BDS are winning the round over on CCTV. Dots will spot him. Oh my lord, doesn't even win the fight. A flawless for BDS to move to match point. After attack timeout, I think they might have been hoping for a little bit more than that.
Yeah, you could see the antsiness. You could see it in the body language, see it in the play of W7M, and just not there mentally, especially with that moment there inside of Mini. Not the way you want those shots to go down up against the ace, not the way you want it to go at all. And now W7M, they're facing a very, very scary scoreline, one that they were really hoping that they would not see post-timeout. It's 6-5 in BDS's favor, max regulation necessary here on border. And once again, they've been able to stand tall up against this opponent, but BDS, better in moments like this, having a great understanding of what W7M are trying to pull off. The heist doesn't work out. This time sink that they were hoping for, banking on the fact that they'll get some frags in those more antsy moments, it never comes. In fact, it's BDS who are cool as a cucumber, lying in wait for their opponent to overextend themselves, and they get more than a plethora of kills when it comes to siege terms.
I think that has definitely been, thinking about how these opening engagements have gone for BDS, whether they're early or whether they're later in the round, it has generally been them waiting for W7M to peak, and as a result so far, they've got a complete conversion rate on their attacking side in this matchup specifically. Every time they've got it, they've won the round as a result, whether it's Bride running into sight, pre-firing on Armories and Archives, or Solotov right there, waiting for Dotes to peak and just winning it with that DMR. On this attacking side, BDS have had a stranglehold on the rest of the round once they get that opening pick. The 4th time we are going to see Armory and Archives on these defenses, excuse me, from W7M. Lobin will spot one. The aggression finally works, able to get the kill on Leaky Fact outside of the double door. If this trend continues of the opening duels, maybe we've got overtime at the end of this 2:23.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, Carter. And the last thing that you can be against BDS is scared. You do not want to be playing scared. Todez with a kill onto Shaiko. It's down to the Monty to try and save this, and he will.
Get his one. With the pistol, it works out. Loban looking to take another swing as the Candelas go off. That's all of Yuzu's primary utility, by the way. He's got the side off of it, but no kill for his troubles. Dash able to wrap around. Oh, Solitov looking the wrong way. Oh, but the recovery right there. As the Razor Bloom going off, got to be worried about shrapnel hitting him in the spine. He's able to look forward and get that kill. Now, we'll take a little bit of a breather. You got the Monty. You want to get Bride set up.
So much time. So much time here in the 2 versus 3, folks. The beauty of this is that Solitov does still have these Twitch drones. Beauty of her, as well as our clutch drone wielder. Multiple drones to be used for info. So we'll start to break down this map. Both of our remaining W7M members are inside of sight, but there's so much time for W7M, or rather BDS, to process this, get rid of traps, try and figure out where these players are going to remain. And the other thing here for BDS is they're not really focused on exactly where this plant's going to go down right now. They're focused on how the hell they're going to get another kill, Carter, because you got to open this door for yourself somehow, some way.
Nice.
They'll start working towards box, and this might be the moment here.
I was about to say, with how many players are in that site, you got to get that F-Not on Armory door, assuming one was placed there, and indeed it was. So one smoke grenade goes out and a smoke canister lobbed in response. Another 10 seconds to wait. It's the nerves building for BDS to push into this site. They've spent so long getting this information. 2 players right around the corner. Dots does not have a C4, but he'll just be another member of this back line on the defense. Bride spots all of them at the same time, but they get aggressive, peeking out the small office, and now is when the Sharks start swarming. Now is when W7M pounce. Overtime, our first of the Swiss so far, and I could not think of a more deserving matchup for it to happen.
From the ashes of Phoenix will rise, my friend, and it's W7M. That last round burnt to a crisp, but Loban, he gets things started off right for W7M. He calls his own number on an aggressive swing out the main double, and he gets that big pickup onto Flores. We needed somebody to be the catalyst. We needed somebody to be the fire starter for W7M in that moment, and the Bulls are raging coming into overtime, but we've seen this before up against BDS, Carter, and this is truly where everything reaches a crazy pinnacle. Can W7M perform in overtime? How locked are we? Because, ladies and gents, we have a hell of a ball game on our hands.
Indeed we do. W7M looking very, very strong throughout all of this border. BDS too, I mean, the start to this half, you got to keep in mind, when we got to that tie game, it was just unbelievable from BDS. 2 rounds back-to-back on Armory, 2 completely different executes as well. Didn't even look like it was going to be close. I was really getting worried that W7M were going to collapse in that second half, and it's been anything but. Might have collapsed after their tactical timeout. They're still winning enough of those rounds. It's been 4-2 halves for both teams, and they're just enough fight in them to get that second.
It's crazy what 90 days can do for a team, Carter. 3 months ago, we saw them in that grand final up against BDS out in the desert. And now, we're back to a very similar scoreline on a map that really any way you cut it could favor one. I can hear arguments for both. But does that really matter at this moment in time? I don't think it does. It's 6-6. It's anybody's ball game here. W7M are going to have the majority of defense, and we've seen them perform up to snuff so far in this position.
Started hollowing out the site as well. See the Twitch drone find the only bulletproof camera for W7M. A lot more things you'll want, though. Those F-Nots, those Dread Mines being a big one.
What a find.
Look at that. Dots downing, Yuzus outside. He is able to crawl away to recovery, so won't be able to take down the grip. That'd be a big piece of utility if he was able to secure that kill, but Yuzus will manage to get away. There is Licky Fat close by to get this res. More importantly, a player that you really rely on, Shaiko might be the aggressive entry, but Licky Fat, but Yuzus especially, one of those lurks. I mean, one of the highest rated players of BDS in every single tournament they've played. To have him on 1 bullet away from death, I prefer him be in a more comfortable position.
Todez, huge moment here. We saw this one before too. Took this aggressive swing, was not capable of killing this player downrange. Solotov aware that consistently, not only in this game, but all of the borders as of late, somebody has been playing this door, usually a dock. This time around, it's going to be Dodez, and a plant going off for Brede. Solotov gets the kill too.
That might be important, but they're still vertical. They have to worry about. Volps is so focused on the CCTV position, he doesn't have time to go to the vert holes, but everyone from BDS falls nonetheless. The Monty can't get out. It's a Pyrrhic victory to put that diffuser down, and a disadvantage too with Yuzu's one half of that. Just a couple bullets away. A lot of this is going to fall on a Shaiko. 14 kills. We know he can do it. Smoke goes out, sees him, but lets Loban cross. He can start defusing safely. He's got the coverage to do it. Shaiko sends it in, but catches one with the C4 in hand. But all the utility lands, and none of Shaiko's bullets hit. Map point for W7M. First defense of OT going their way in the post.
Well, my friend, we know how scary a Brazilian roster can be in Rainbow Six, one of the most dominant regions throughout the entire history of Siege. But you know what's even worse? When they get that emotion going, man. When they start feeling themselves, that's when things get scary. BDS at the 11th hour are going to call their tactical timeout. You don't want to go to the end of the game with one of those. It's no bonus points for keeping your timeout, folks, so you might as well try and put them on ice. That timeout's going to come in. LickyFack and Uzus have not really shown up in this game in the same capacity as we are used to seeing them. 6 and 9 for LickyFack, 6 and 10 for Uzus, and especially for Uzus, actually the second highest rated player by EPS on this roster, and he's not been able to find his stride. Whereas for W7M, we have a lot of consistency across the board here. Loban and Dodez both having 11 kills, 9 for Volps, and 7 for both Dots and Dash. All of them finding their highlights here on border, and the lead as well for the very first time in overtime up against BDS.
And I think ultimately for me, that is what is becoming the big story of this game and will be solidified if W7M win. Whatever StuFlex is calling right now, whatever LickyFack is coming up with, I'm sure it'll be a good strategy. I'm sure it'll be a good counter to maybe the problems they had on these defenses before. But if you just look at who's getting these kills, the floor is a little bit higher for W7M. Volps is having a characteristically or uncharacteristically poor game, but everyone is at about 7 kills, and then you top out about 11. Then you have Shaiko on BDS. Not only 14 kills, but 100% cost throughout this game so far. But on that lower end, LickyFack and Yuzus, as you said, of course, Yuzus, one of the highest rated players on BDS, plays important ops, has an important role, but only getting about a 50% or a 46% cost for Yuzus and LickyFack respectively. There's just a little bit more consistency for W7M right now, a smaller gap on this roster. And for BDS, who have lost games for 1 to 2% differences between them and their opponents, very familiar with that. It is an unfortunately familiar position in this case, as they now need to win 2 rounds in a row to secure their opening game of Swiss in Max OT.
It's so crazy, too, because you look at the 2 boards for these 2 teams, respectively. Before potentially a rush, we might have to touch on this a little bit later. A smoke flies in. They're going to go for the plant right now.
About to say it. Let's hold up. Let's take a pause, and, well, Dots will have to try for more. Dodez pushing even further to get that kill. Solotov just around the corner. He'll immediately pick up that diffuser, start putting it down again, but all of these smoke bangs are just laying into W7M. Solotov tries to go for that pistol, but Volps has actually found his way inside of the bathroom. What the hell is going on here? Peeks out and Yuzu says, bye-bye, no more factors for you. And now that the chaos has ended, it is BDS with the lead. Loban has moved into customs, and somebody's immediately trying to take this fight in that position. Drone put down, and Shaiko catches him completely off guard. Completely calm in the chaos, bringing order from a mess of entropy. Dash now on the backside, knows the position of one. One player alone. It was Shaiko that took down Loban, his teammate, in this 2v3. No Candelas, use them all to bait out that rush. Nothing's going to be helpful for him when Shaiko is pre-aiming the exact door he walks down all 15 rounds. In the rematch of EWC, 1 attack, 1 defense. We'll see who goes up and who goes down.
W7M called the rush for Tellers. And honestly, I don't hate it, although I never really thought it was going to work. I think this is one of those situations where W7M feel more than capable on defense up against BDS. They didn't really have something in the works, in their plans that they felt comfortable going for up against BDS when it came to this site. So instead, they just go for the rush instead. Hope it works out. It doesn't exactly. You know, I do like that they doubled down on the fact that they throw Fink in there too and try and get something going on for themselves, but nothing really to be said. Now back to the original point I was going to make before everything turned to hell in a handbasket. BDS was a team that was a gleaming sign of consistency throughout their entire stage. Every single one of these players performing up to snuff. And it was W7M that coming into this game, I was like, I don't really know what's going to happen with Dots and Dash. They just really haven't had it over these last couple of months. -12 for Dots, -31 for Dash. But that's been the biggest thing here for them inside of this game. That consistency across the board that BDS has been lacking. The shoe is somewhat, you know, on the other foot.
And again, we might have 7-9 and 7-10 right now, but just moving a -5 in a game to a -3, for 2 players, that's 4 kills. That is almost around, and all you have to rely on is Dodez, Loben, or Volps getting 1 more kill. Obviously, it's a bit more of a hypothetical example, but it's the little things so far that have been making the difference. One player being in bathroom that time, able to wallbang the smoke, or the wallbang the Monty through the wall. Makes a small difference, but gets the round for BDS.
It's actually insane how unbelievably even-keeled this matchup is. Even looking at the scoreboards, I know we've been talking about BDS, but you guys have to remember, their consistency is some crazy numbers. So even these players performing somewhat average.
Oh!
Can be a big change-up for BDS. That's a huge moment here as Loben goes down. One of those players that I told you guys, he wanted this matchup. I'm sure he does not feel the same way as he's the first one to die here at max round count on border.
Now Dota is feeling a little bit alone on that dock, playing CCTV. Dots and Volps next to each other on East. Another kill.
Oh, no.
Oh my God, Dots through the wall. Not like this. You've been so competitive, and BDS are just holding angles. They're just waiting for you to rotate, waiting for you to swing. Volps will back up. That's so big from Dodez with the bailiff. I don't know how the hell that just happened. That's his 13th kill. He'll move further back into the site. It's a difficult gambit you play now. Do you want to play aggressive, get the man count back, or do you just cut your losses? Nope. He'll get a stim and get back into position.
Yeah, especially with that dot, Carter. This is exactly what we need. It's a necessary thing. Hold down to security. Hold down this portion of the map and make it to where they can't work in towards box. BDS's assault is a very well-known commodity as of right now. They know they're working in towards east, towards office. We'll see how this is going to turn out.
Could all come down to these CCTV fights. 2 players here now, 3 players all around CCTV and 90. You can see Yuzu starting to creep up to the other side. Dash will move a little bit further back. BDS are trying to find the weaknesses in this setup right now, but W7M still holds CCTV. Shaiko might just take the bait. Castle barricade in his way. Holding a passive angle, but he walks in front of Dodez. A must-win fight right there. CCTV now in full control of W7M, and they cut their losses. They hit the rotate to the opposite side, allowing those 2 defenders to roam, extend on the opposite side of the map. Dot's close in the corner. We'll spot the Monty, but that's the burden of that shield. Sure, you can see him. There's not a damn thing you can do about it. Yuzu's now with the cutoff. Bride with the diffuser, wasting that final toxic canister. He's very low HP, even more low HP now, but he can find a way into this site. Everyone from BDS worried about these retakes, having to look back, look forward, look into Dash as he puts a bullet in the head of Likifac. Bride pushing deep will try to set up Yuzus, but this is the flank. Now finally, Volps and Dodez come through! More than 6 rounds indeed. It takes all 15 for W7M to tie the rematch and to redeem themselves from EWC.
Well, guys, I hope you've put the fine dining cutlery away because the Bulls are back in town, baby. W7M, they've had this game on their calendar for months.